Thumbin. It wasn't because he didn't have money. Hell, he had over $200 in his pocket and nearly $1,000 on his card. He could have taken the bus if he felt like it. No, the fact was that Everett Shockley just liked to hitchhike. He wasn't in any particular hurry, and he really didn't have anywhere he necessarily had to be. He was just going wherever the ride took him. That's how he found himself standing in front of the Waffle House in Rockingham at 3 a.m. That was okay, too. There were a hell of a lot worse places to be at 3 a.m. He was hungry anyway, so he picked up his bag and walked inside. It was cool in there and smelled like bacon grease and black coffee. A fat little girl with a pretty face smiled at him from behind the counter, and so he smiled back. Then he walked over and sat down to get a closer look. "Hey, baby," he said, "how you doing tonight?" "I'll be doing a lot better when 5 o'clock rolls around," she said. "Is that when you get off?" She nodded her head. "You want coffee?" she asked. "I reckon so," he said. She was still smiling, so he kept smiling too. He wasn't exactly sure what she was thinking. Did she tell him what time she was getting off just to say something, or was she hinting at something else? He watched as she walked over to get the coffee pot. Hell, she might have been a little on the damn plump side, but he'd seen a lot worse. He decided that he would feel her out a little more and see where she was coming from. "What's your name, honey?" he said. "Melanie," she said as she poured the coffee. "You take cream, baby?" That was a good sign, he thought. She hadn't hesitated to tell her his name, and on top of that, she called him baby, and she was still smiling. The corners of his mouth were starting to hurt. "You look mighty damn cute tonight, Melanie," he said. She didn't have anything to say to that for a minute. Then she changed the subject. "You thumbin'?" she asked. "Hell yeah," he said. "Where you coming from?" "Virginia," he said. "Where you headed?" "I don't have a clue. I'm just traveling." He put cream and sugar in his coffee and then stirred it. It was her turn to say something. He wondered what it would be. "It must be fun to just be traveling along like that. I see guys like you all the time come in here. Sometimes I wish I could just pick up and go," she said. She got a little wistful expression in her eyes when she said it, like she had given it a lot of thought. "You want something to eat?" she said. "I'm starving." He was just starting to feel like he was making a little headway when a big guy in a white shirt walked out of the back room. He should have known that she wouldn't be working in there alone at 3 in the damn morning. The guy looked him over and then turned and started to scrape off the grill. She handed him a menu from the counter. Everett Shockley loved Waffle Houses. They were some of his favorite places to eat, especially when they were real busy, like on Saturday night after the bars closed. He loved to sit at the counter and watch the cook preparing orders. This was a Tuesday, though, and he was the only customer in the place. "Just give me 3 eggs over easy, sausage, and a double helping of cheese grits," he said. She jotted the order down on a pad and then tore off the sheet and stuck it under the little magnet on the hood of the grill where the guy could see it while he cooked. "You want hash browns with that too?" she asked. "They come with that order, anyway." "Hell yeah," he said. "I'll take anything that's free." "What's your name?" she said. "Everett," he answered. He wanted to try to get the conversation back on track, but he wasn't quite sure how to go about it. The big guy had his back turned. "Why the hell don't you just pick up and go if you want to?" he said. "Shit, for that matter, you could come go with me. We could have a time." "Lord Everett, I don't know you from Adam," she laughed. He listened closely to the laugh. It had just a tad of possibility in the tone and the length of it, like there was just a split second there when she was actually considering it. Then, like a tiny flickering flame, he felt it go out. "I can't," she said. The smile was gone, and she found herself back in Rockingham at a Waffle House with 2 more hours to go. He took a sip of coffee and lit a cigarette. Then he looked her right in the eyes. "How old are you, Melanie?" he said. 22, she replied. She sounded almost sad when she said it. "You ever been anywhere?" he asked her. "Not much," she said. "I go to the beach every year, but that's about it." She started wiping off the counter and straightening up the ketchup bottles like she was trying to get the idea out of her head. "Why the hell don't you just can this damn job and come with me?" What the devil would we do? Where would we go? Shoot, you might be some kind of nut, or rapist, or murderer for all I know. Besides, I ain't got no money to be knocking around on." The cook was listening to the conversation. Everett Shockley could tell. He got the impression that the guy was worried she might actually go and leave him to run the restaurant by himself. "Hell, baby, I got money. I'm on disability," he said. "How old are you?" she asked as she leaned an elbow down on the counter and stared at him. "What difference does that make?" he said. "You're old. I bet you're old enough to be my daddy. I can't go traipsing off with you to the Lord knows where. I ain't like you. I got responsibilities." If there was one word that Everett Shockley hated to hear, it was that one. It was like a damn lead weight dropping. "Order up," said the cook as he placed a lump of butter on top of the cheese grits. She turned around and grabbed the plate and put it down in front of him. "You want more coffee?" she said. There was a distance in her voice that he hadn't heard before, and he could tell that she had put the whole idea out of her head. He'd gotten so caught up in the prospect of talking her into running away with him that he'd lost sight of his earlier aim of getting her in the sack. Anyway, it was too late now. The moment had passed. He ground his cigarette out in the ashtray and slid the coffee cup across the counter. What the hell, he thought. She was just some chubby little girl in a Waffle House in Rockingham at 3 in the morning.